Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you guys are listening to us. Welcome back to another edition of the Layman's AI podcast. I am Adam,
And my name is Brian.
and we want to welcome you guys to what is now episode 57 of the Layman's AI podcast. And tonight, little excited about this topic, a little on the easier side for us, which we're pretty stoked about. But tonight, we're talking about the internet and AI advice. So it doesn't take a genius to go on the internet and realize there's a bunch of things that are claiming they're AI and a bunch of things that are saying that this is good advice for AI, and some of it actually is helpful. But as always, a lot of it is hype, and some of it's even centered around fear. You got to recycle this prompt. There's tricks like that all around.
Hmm.
Influencer content designed to sell courses. There's things you got to be careful there. And
Oh yeah.
this episode, we're going to try to help our layman folk out to separate useful AI guidance from bad AI guidance. So,
Yeah,
um,
I feel like this episode is kind of like our podcast wrapped into one.
yeah.
We just kind of like talk about like what is like actually like real about AI. What is some good advice that you're getting? What is some bad advice you're getting? And obviously a lot of these are our opinions that we feel. You
Hmm.
can feel free to email us and disagree with us. And if you want to come on the show and tell us what you really think, we're okay with that too.
Yeah, we're not
But
against that. Yeah.
we are not against that. We're all about guests here. But no, these are just kind of like some you know, common conceptions about AI. Some of them misconceptions, and just kind of excited to talk about this, to be honest with you.
Yep. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's talk about the first one that we've
Hmm.
noticed. And the first one we're going to say is, yeah, we're going to put this in quotes,
Hmm.
use this one secret prompt.
Hmm.
Have you seen any of those, Brian?
Uh, Kind of a little bit. I know my work, they're starting to actually create like a prompt store
Hmm.
for our company.
Okay.
We have we use Copilot a lot at work. That's kind of the one I use. That's the one we have a license for. But a lot of them are using like a prompt store right now, just because if we want to use AI for like kind of repetitive tasks, like kind of like some bookkeeping, some number running, and everything, a lot of times if you use the same prompt, it could give you more consistent results, and the company can have more consistent results as well.
Hmm.
However, my the prompts for my company aren't going to be the same good prompts for your company,
Correct.
and everything. And I think that's kind of the point where you say there's one magic prompt. No, there's not a magic prompt. It is an actual, as you say, or we have it right here, iterative,
Yes.
I would say.
I would have to agree. So I don't think there is one magic prompt. I used to at the beginning of my journey, and I still subscribe to several newsletters that I get daily. And I love these AI newsletters. I've learned a lot with them. Each one has like either a prompt of the day or a prompt bank you can go to and use. I used to use those religiously. Now I take those and I revise them immediately. I just
Hmm.
take them, I copy paste. Are there good segments in there? Yes. Is it a learning tool? I think so. I've learned to prompt better by looking at the style, the flow, the layout. When we went from prompt engineering to context, when the context became more
Hmm.
important, that's where these prompts were really beneficial to me before we started using tools like Flompt.
Yeah.
They were very beneficial in terms of learning what the AI wants it to look like now. So there's
Hmm.
some positives there, but is there one magic prompt that's going to give you absolutely consistent results? The answer to that is heck no. Uh,
No, d no,
no.
definitely not. But like I was saying before, my company, we're going to prompt differently than your company and everything.
Hmm.
If you're running one repetitive task and that's what we want to do with AI and everything, you can create your own prompt for that one repetitive task
Yeah.
and everything. Like if you're, I don't know, let's say off the top of my head, in a shipping and receiving company, and you're trying to like track orders and what have you, and you get the numbers and you want an analysis of the specific numbers. And everyone sees the Excel spreadsheets. You have these columns, these rows, and you know what these columns and rows are. So every time you get the daily, shipping or receiving logs, you just kind of post them into your LLM. And if you throw the same exact prompt up there, it will analyze that one task consistently. Now, the thing is, you don't want to use that prompt for another task and everything.
Hmm.
You want to make sure, like, if you're going to reuse a prompt, it has to be, for a specific task and everything. Because, like you said, it's not going to, work, from one segment to the other, one industry to the other.
Right.
one section of your production plant that's making product A isn't gonna give you the same info as making product B, and that could kind of create some issues right there. So you do similar prompts, but it's something you have to honestly develop.
I agree. I also think that the traditional prompt, it's not going by the wayside, but it's changing. And the reason
Hmm
what I mean by that is you have your initial prompt that you put in, but then you usually engage in almost more conversations now. I've noticed this since I became a Claude user. My after the prompt, it's much more conversation to ensure I'm getting what I need, which
hmm
doesn't make the initial prompt as important. I still think the context that you give it, the background that you give it, is more important than the prompt itself. But one of the things I always like to put in my prompts is ask questions to clarify understanding.
Yeah.
I always get follow-ups, whether I'm using Gemini, ChatGPT, or Claude. Claude does a very good job of
hmm
following up. Actually, I think ChatGPT's done a very good job lately. Um,
Yeah.
so they're doing that stuff. And I think that's part of the reason, another reason why the magic prompt thing is should be out the window is because AI in interaction with it is becoming much more of a conversation and a thread to work your way through to get to the final product that you want. So while your industry deals a little bit more with data numbers than my industry deals a little more with
hmm
emotions, humans,
Yeah.
things like that. The conversation piece is pretty important to get the idea of what you're looking for. So again, bottom line, I don't think there is one magic prompt. I think there's good prompts out there that can be
hmm
retooled, reiterated, and changed up to support you and help you and get you right direction. But there's no magic prompt that's gonna get you rich quickly. None.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea of magic prompting here. Let's go to the next segment, shall we?
Yes,
I
we
think we
shall.
kind of covered that one, and this is one of my favorite ones right here. Uh, the myth or the advice, I should say. I want to say myth. I'll just
Yeah.
spoil it and say myth. AI will make you 10 times more productive. No, it doesn't
No,
automatically make you more productive.
no, not
It
10 times.
will. No, it is a tool that if you use it correctly, you will become more productive for sure. That is kind of what we're looking at with AI to do and everything. And I think companies are starting to realize this because they jumped on this myth right away,
Yes.
laid off workers and everything, and now they're regretting it because they thought, oh, we'll hire, we have 100 engineers. Oh, we only need 10 of them now because of AI. False.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely false. And
Yeah.
companies are starting to realize that. So I think the initial shock of this might be over, or hopefully over by now.
I sincerely hope so because we don't want to see people getting laid off as a result of AI. We really don't.
hmm
It's not good for people, not good for the economy, not good for a lot of things. And
hmm
I just don't see that happening. I always, my question would be, how do you measure productivity in each and every single industry? Like I know in some
hmm
industries, if you're actually creating a product, perhaps it can be 10 times more, but I can't
hmm
think of any off the top of my head because how do you authentically measure what productivity looks like before AI, with AI? I don't know how to do that. If
hmm
anybody out there does know how, hit us up on LinkedIn. I would
hmm
love to hear how you can measure that in
Yeah.
a non I don't want to say productive, but something where you're not making something in a short amount of time. I mean, not a physical product. I want to hear that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I mean, this is kind of what was the one I was like always kind of angry about? Like people just started all these layoffs and what have you, and the AI, got overhyped and whatnot. And you still have to put in the work. Like no matter
right.
what you're doing, AI is going to help you. And I've been, kind of toying with some AI with some project ideas, but you still need that human element with the AI because it's just kind of doing whatever you're telling it to do. And if
Yeah.
you look back at a couple of our episodes, can't think of many off the top of my head. I keep going back to our Thanksgiving dinner episode. Um, like I found those recipes and it just followed along with the recipes I told it to follow.
hmm
Now I could have had it, say, okay, give me a turkey recipe, give me a stuffing recipe. Okay, now throw that together. I'm not sure it would have been that good, to be honest with you.
Right.
And I looked for the recipes. And what it did was it put me together that shopping list. It put me together the cooking times. It did all the what should I say, the kind of step-by-step game plan and what have you, and it made my productivity more efficient.
That's a
But I
big
was
one.
still putting in the work right
It
there. So
it's still going to
is it
take
making
you
more
this.
efficient?
Yeah, it's still going to take you the same amount of time to make everything
Yeah.
in that example you're using. But it
Hmm.
was very efficient, especially the part where we did the times,
Yes.
where we laid out what time you want what done so that you could still watch the football game or the Macy's Day Parade. I think I remember
Yeah,
that
we
episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
we couldn't pass that up. I mean, you got to watch
Yeah.
football in the Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving. That's you ain't doing that yet in America, right? But anyway, we're getting we're getting off topic here. But no, it's yeah, I think the word is efficient. Like
Yeah.
if you're like doing all this production, and what it can remove, in my opinion, is the human error, because we all have our human error and everything,
Hmm.
and there's machine error. So if we do machine error takes away the human error can take away the machine error. So now you have a more efficient product. You are not more productive, you are more efficient with your productivity. And I think that's my kind of divine saying on this topic, essentially.
Well, I want to hear a little bit about from, some of the studies that we found that
Hmm.
Perplexity found for us.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. So there's two things here, and I think it goes along the lines with what we're saying.
Yeah.
This is from Stanford University. It says AI can improve productivity, but the gains depend on the person, the task, and the workflow, which I think is exactly
Hmm.
what we're saying. So
Yeah.
Stanford's 2025 AI index says that research generally shows AI can boost productivity and narrow skill gaps. Totally believe that, but
Hmm.
it does not mean every task becomes faster or even better. And that
Yeah.
makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an automatic. That's kind of what we're thinking right here. Is an automatic, and one kind of example off the top of my head, these short form video platforms like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Reels, and everything, inundated with AI generated shorts
Hmm.
right now, and it is it's a problem like that because now everybody thinks that they can make, a video. Oh, I can just make a video just as good, and I'm using AI, but whatever. It's like, no, it's not that good. You still need like creativity, you still need productivity because this isn't creative or productive.
Right.
But it can take away sort of like those mundane tasks, I should say. Man, I am not doing good tonight. But like you said, you don't necessarily become better because of it. You still have to put in the work.
Hmm.
So,
So that's where we're at with productivity.
yes.
All right, should we go to the next one?
Yeah, I think we kind of set up the next one as well.
I think we did. So the
Yeah.
next one is you don't need skills anymore. Do you remember Napoleon
Hmm.
Dynamite?
Yes.
I don't have any
I
good skills.
I don't remember that exact line. I haven't seen that in years or
Oh,
watched a
it's
whole lot,
so
but
good. It's so good. It's rated PG and
it's an odd
it
classic.
holds up. It's a
It,
classic.
it is an odd classic, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the whole myth. You don't need skills anymore, and this is especially big with writing and coding.
Yeah.
Or some of the examples you have here, research or anything, and it could help you along with your writing, like and kind of help you with some writer's block or what have you. It can help you do some coding. But, I've always maintained this. The more you know about coding, the better your AI use is going to be with or use AI for coding,
Yeah.
essentially. And, subject knowledge is the big one right there. It
Yeah.
could kind of fill in some of your knowledge gaps. Like, one person will know, I'll use a sports analogy, knows a lot about football, doesn't know much about baseball. But the person who knows a lot about football can, kind of maybe use AI to help kind of gain at least ground knowledge of baseball and what have you. So,
Hmm.
but the subject knowledge is still a big thing, and you're still going to need it.
I agree, and I think the subject knowledge is very important. That's a skill to have, and some of the examples that were provided for us again by Perplexity, it was saying like AI usually rewards people who already have the judgment or the good judgment call.
Hmm.
Because if you don't understand even the task, you may not know when AI is wrong. And it's especially
Hmm.
risky in the legal, education, healthcare, finance, and public communication. I mean, we've
Yeah.
seen cases of legal AI hallucination that show danger.
Hmm.
And this is as recent as June of 26 that a U.S. appeals court sanctioned lawyers for submitting briefs with fictitious AI generated case citations. I mean,
Hmm.
that's terrible. You at least have to have the skill set to check it. And that's the real skill that I don't think we've talked about yet. When it comes to I think the real skill you need to have is evaluation skills. How did
Hmm.
you evaluate the prompt? How did you evaluate the response from AI? How did you evaluate the conversation you're having in the thread? How do you know to do that? That is not an easy skill to actually evaluate something. It
Yeah.
is a very high skill. And I think AI, those of us that are using it as a tool, we are getting better with our evaluation skills. I wrote a blog about this a few years back when AI first came out because I think AI is going to do a lot of the creating for us under our guidance, but we have
Uh-huh.
to evaluate how it did. How can it improve? What can we do differently? You
Yeah.
ask yourself a lot of questions, and it's a great skill. And I think as a result, like you do need skills to interact with AI.
Always. Yeah, you're always going to need skills.
Yeah,
Always. And yeah, I think it comes evident there was a company, I'm not going to call the company out right now, but they fired a lot of engineers. And now they're rehiring what they call graybeard engineers because the AI isn't doing as good as they call it. You can kind of see the little bit of gray right there in my beard. But now they kind of realized no, we still need the skills. And, maybe when you have like all these college graduates coming out or what have you, we've like consistently said is going to be hard for them, this might bode well for them because now
yeah,
companies are going to realize, oh no, we need people that have the skills and we need to build people with these skills and everything. So the companies that stood pat and said, you know what? We'll be fine. We're going to continue going down this road. And the ones that said, oh no, you have to use AI for this, you'll be left in the dust. Um, the companies that held pat and everything and started building more skilled, uh, what should I say, employees are starting to come out because, yeah,
yeah,
you need skills.
yeah, you do. Yeah, you got to get those good skills, as
Yeah.
Napoleon would say. All right.
Yep.
All right, let's move to the
And
next one.
oh, you know what? And we're just
Oh,
like these are all kind of in a line right here. AI
yeah.
can do your job for you. Just let AI do your work. No, don't do that.
Don't do
Do
that.
not do not do that. Like that's
Think
just not something that you want to do here.
think about what you're
AI,
doing by letting AI do that.
yeah, it's just, you don't know what it's going to say. You don't know what it's going to do. And like we've kept saying it's a tool, and like this is what we try to like bring into reality here is actually what AI is capable of, what you want to use it for, what you don't want to use it for.
Right.
And you don't want to use it to do your job for you. You want to have it on hand to help you do your job, for sure, but you have to know how to use it as far as your job is concerned. So
Yeah.
it's like, no, you still got to do your job, and you know what? People don't go out of business still.
Yeah.
I
I had
think it
this
was a
great
Michael Scott
professor
line.
when I was a education major. I had this great
Hmm.
professor who said, if you're
Yeah.
teaching and your activity that you're giving the kids is something you could do by yourself on a desert island, that's not
Hmm.
teaching.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. I'm like, wow, don't be the center of the room. If you're doing that same thing with AI, where AI's just being the center of the room or doing it
Hmm.
on a desert island, not
Yeah.
interacting with anybody,
Hmm.
you're not using it right. Uh,
No, definitely not.
You're not using it right. It cannot do your job for you. It could certainly do aspects of the job. If you need some data analysis on some spreadsheets, my goodness, this will check a lot of the boxes from productivity to helping you assist you do your job, to possibly making a chart or a graph that's easier to understand. There are
Hmm.
parts and aspects of it, but you still got to have the skills. And AI is not doing the work for you. It's doing part of the work for you. It
And it's
cannot do
helping
your
you.
job. It's helping you. Yeah.
It's always going to be helping, and that's kind of what I like to get through and everything. So, what do we have here? Better advice. Or wait, sorry, I'm looking at this. Do we read the study?
No, we have not.
No, we did
You talking
not.
about
Okay.
the
Yeah.
NIST? Yeah, do you want
Yeah.
to read that out
So
loud for our listeners?
yeah. So basically, NIST AI risk management framework emphasizing managing AI risk to individuals, organizations, and society supports the idea that AI use needs oversight rather than blind trust. And I think that's like the big one right there.
Yeah.
If I'm going to use AI in the health field, I want doctors overseeing it to make sure that it's giving out the right advice. If you know you're going to use it in the legal industry, I want seasoned lawyers, like the most experienced lawyers, looking over what kind of advice AI is giving all the younger lawyers and everything. So
Hmm.
I think that kind of goes along with what we've been saying a lot as far as really these last like 3 or 4 points here. But bottom line is it's going to help you, but it's not going to do your job for you.
Right. That's 100% spot on.
Hmm. Oh
All
yeah.
right. Should we go to the next one? Because that's one's going to get me on my high horse.
Okay. All right. So what's segment five? AI detectors work. Do they?
No, they do not. They never have. They never will
Hmm.
at this point. Ooh, I'm so frustrated. Um, the reason why I'm frustrated is because I know some college students who have been in trouble for simply using Grammarly.
Hmm.
They were accused of being the AI detected that an AI tool was used to help us. Well, you're darn right. I'm having Grammarly do everything for me. I do
Hmm.
like Grammarly. The free version. Uh,
Yeah.
but that's one thing. The other thing with AI detectors, they're inconsistent. They are
Hmm.
not consistent whatsoever. There's been multiple studies of this. We all want, especially educators. I blame my industry for this one. We all want to know, are the students
Hmm.
using AI?
Yeah.
That's not the problem. Are they using it correctly? Is the way that I would word that. If they're
Hmm.
just spitting out a thing and don't even bother to read it and they submit that as an assignment, you're going to catch them without an AI detector. You just ask a question.
Yeah.
You're going to catch them. But the AI detectors have specifically not worked. And to prove it, when I learned about AI the first time, I was very
Hmm.
concerned what's this going to do for education. One of the very first videos I saw on AI on YouTube was a kid on Twitch, I think, is where he could live stream his video games.
Hmm.
And he was literally talking, coaching students on how to use AI to wash it so that an AI detector will not pick it up. And it
Hmm.
was a 3 step process. It was not hard. And
Yeah.
I think he was right.
And
They're
you can
going to
engineer
find ways.
prompts for that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this one. I thought this is the dumbest thing. People are paying money for this. You paid money for this thing to wash your AI responses for you, and all it did was make it seem like you're slightly illiterate.
Yeah, that might actually be worse.
It put grammar mistakes in there. It put words in there that were not real. And I'm like, you want to pay money for this? Just give me your money. I'll slap you, and then you can go back to trying to let AI get your way through your life. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, I think we shouldn't be afraid of kids or adults using AI.
No,
There shouldn't
definitely
be
not.
fear around it. There's no need for AI detectors. We live in an AI world now. I
Hmm.
do want AI to polish your email before you send it out to make sure that it's clear. Like I do
Yeah.
want you using it for that.
Well, I mean, I do that for the show notes.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I tell it fix my grammar,
Yeah.
and it fixes the grammar. And I even tell it I'm like, make sure it sounds like my sentence structure, because I want it to sound like my sentence structure. Not everybody's going to do that, obviously, but you just prompt it, keep my sentence structure, and
Right.
then it's like simple as that. So if you read the show notes, know that I used AI to help clean up my grammar. I'm not an English major. I'm an engineer. I don't know grammar that well, so I used it to fill that skills gap. Hey, what
Yeah.
do you know?
Brian, let me ask you something here. I'm going to throw a
Hmm.
little twist in this episode right
Yeah,
now.
okay.
Um, I got into a debate with an educator about 2 years ago because I took the stance. I have written quite a few blogs on Medium,
Hmm.
and I uploaded all those blogs to make a GPT in ChatGPT. That was private, just for me.
Hmm.
I put in topics, gave it some context, and I said, write a blog in my style.
Okay.
It did. The debate was a friend of mine, fellow educator, Said what
Hmm.
I did was unethical because the machine did the work for me. And I
Okay.
said it's not unethical because A, number one, I said at the bottom, I had assistance from AI in writing this, that I
Hmm.
reviewed it, I checked everything to make sure it was mine. But I don't see
Mm.
that as unethical because I took the time to do the work to create the machine that created my blog
Hmm.
for me.
Okay,
What are
so
your thoughts on that one?
ethical. Is it ethical? No, you're not unethical. I don't think so.
Okay.
Because you oversaw the final product at least.
And
Uh,
read
uh
through. Yeah.
yeah, it may have been it may have been a little better for you to write the blog first, blog yourself and have AI check the grammar.
Hmm.
I personally would have preferred that, but no judgments here. But are you unethical? No, you're not unethical because you actually oversaw what the AI was doing. If you're just like, pumping it out and just say, AI, write this, okay, copy, paste, boom, I'm done. Then, you're gonna keep like that's like no oversight is unethical, but the fact you were giving it oversight is ethical. Another sort of example I can go there. I have some social media posts that I have AI write for me and everything,
Hmm.
and I do look those over. I look it over to make sure, okay, is this just ridiculous?
Yeah.
Is it like really what I'm trying to put out there and everything?
Uh-huh.
But I told it to put the kind of posts that I like, and everything like that, and uh, basically, I overlook everything before I post it. I guide it on how I want the post to go and everything. And that's essentially what I do with the social media campaigns that I have AI put together for us. But I'm still tweaking it though.
I love what you just said because you just go back to prove a point that I was saying earlier. Everything you said in that, what you do, you named three things that you do. Take a look
Hmm.
at it. You're evaluating it.
Hmm.
You're evaluating it before you post it. And that's the big thing for me. It's not that it did the work for us, because there was still work done on our end.
Hmm.
That whether it's evaluation, creation, all the things that we do, they're
Yeah.
still there. Why does that have to do with AI detectors? Because I think people fear the AI detectors way too much, and frankly, it is so inconsistent. I can't believe
Hmm.
students are actually in trouble for it. I really
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
And yeah, I'll tell you right now, this is nothing new as far as social media is concerned.
Yeah.
Bots have been chugging out content for a long time before this AI craze took over.
Hmm.
And I read something now over half of the social media content is bot generated.
Oh, that makes total
Um,
sense. I
and
completely believe it.
yeah, that's why I hit the friends button on Facebook and just see what my friends are doing. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, as far as AI detectors, it's going to become more and more difficult
Hmm.
for what's going on and everything. The only way you can really detect it is oh gosh, overlook it yourself and dig into
Yeah.
whether or not it's real. I've heard some professors are starting to figure out ways to catch people AI cheating on their own. But you know what? They have that knowledge on how to figure it out, and we have to start, you know, accommodating to that world right there.
Right.
So, I mean, you look at that and uh, as far as the teaching is concerned, stop using like, depending on AI detectors and start teaching the AI world because you're supposed to learn the world that you're in.
Yep.
But either way, I think we're going to go into our final segment here. And this is another point that we've been kind of making quite a bit on a
Yeah.
number of episodes,
Yeah.
haven't we?
We have been, and I'm kind of glad that this is still a thing on the internet. I know why it's a thing still on the internet. They're
Hmm.
trying to scare you. But why don't you go ahead, tell us what the last one is?
You're behind.
Yeah,
You're behind. You're not behind.
you are not
Um,
behind.
because people may be using AI a lot more than you,
Yep.
but it's not exactly increasing productivity. Going back to a previous point,
Hmm.
people are still trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
and we haven't figured it out fully yet on where AI
Yeah.
comes into play and everything. And um, just start playing with it. That's all you got to do is just start messing with it a little bit and see how it works out for you.
I think people in general struggle. They feel like, oh, I need to be using AI. Well, you probably don't.
Hmm.
Not yet. Still
Yeah,
play with it, use it, have fun
yeah,
with it,
definitely.
but nobody is behind. And there's
Hmm.
and we said this in many episodes ago. I think it was when we were in the teens still.
Hmm.
There are not all-knowing AI experts out there. There are, but they're not the number that you think they are.
No,
The
it's
the average person who uses AI a lot is probably more well versed in AI or pretty close to well versed in how to use AI as those experts. I'm not even making that up.
yeah, definitely. It's still in its infancy and everything, and you may not actually be behind if you don't use AI at all, or never get behind because you know it could be already ingrained into what you're already doing. Spell check in Microsoft Word,
Yeah.
that's a form of AI.
Yep.
And you've been using it for years, but you're still writing papers,
Do
and
you
everything. You still need to know the English language and what have you.
do you remember Clippy from Microsoft?
That's my boy. That's my boy. I think I
Oh,
want to bring Clippy the LLM back.
I did
I
not
think
like
Microsoft needs to do that.
I did not like him. I
You did not like him? Yeah,
Oh, it
nobody
appears
usually
you're
did.
trying to write a letter. That can I assist you? No, close out. Let me write the letter. I gotta write
Yeah,
the letter
exactly.
so I can finish up and play Carmen San Diego. Like, get out of my way. You're slowing me
Oh
down,
man,
Clippy.
that's a throwback right there.
I
But
know.
no, yeah, that's
But he was
yeah.
the
I mean,
original LLM that I remember. That.
yeah, it was terrible too, because it just didn't work that well.
Yeah.
But it was Microsoft's kind of like first attempt at that and everything. But just because you're what should I say, a coder or an engineer, and you're not using AI right now, doesn't mean you're behind. You may actually have an edge on
Hmm.
people that are using AI,
Yeah.
because you can kind of overlook the reality of everything. So, it's just like kind of like find some tools that you want to try, see how
Yeah.
it works for you. That's
There's
all I can say.
another there's another analogy I'm going to use real quick, and it's football reference. There are some schools and towns where you start playing tackle football in like third grade.
Hmm.
And there's these other schools and towns where they start. Yeah, I know that was us. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's these other. We grew up in Ohio,
Yeah.
but there's other schools and towns where you don't start tackling until seventh, eighth grade, with 2 years away from high school.
Yeah.
And what they found is those kids that are learning it in seventh and eighth grade, they're not
Hmm.
developing bad habits for 4 years prior
Hmm.
to learning to play tackle football. And I love that analogy with AI. Maybe you and I have picked up some bad habits with our prompting that's not going to help us in a year or
Yeah.
two. But if a person's coming in their first time and AI changes to this conversational piece, you and I might still be telling it or prompting it to work the way we want it to as if it was a year ago, whereas a new person is like, oh, I just talked to you, then you talk to me, and then we'll figure this out.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good sports analogy right there because if you play a lot of youth sports, you see gimmicks and stuff that don't work at the next level,
Right.
but they're great for like 10 to 12 year olds.
Hmm.
Like 10 to 12 year olds can do it like amazing. And if you train, the kids there to do all these habits, they're going to try to bring that to the next level, and it's just not going to work. Now they have to redevelop the habits and everything. So going back to what this means is that, if you keep developing the proper habits, you may fall behind or may look like you're behind at first, but you keep up those good habits, then you'll be better off later down the road and everything.
Right.
The biggest one I can think of if we're doing a sports analogy, the Mighty Ducks movies. You remember those?
I can't
The
watch those anymore.
You can't. I'm sorry.
My kids actually play youth hockey, and when I
Uh,
watch those movies, I'm like, you kids can't skate, you can't pass, you can't like. Sorry, but tell the
yeah.
analogy. Don't let me ruin it. I want to hear
Well,
this though.
what was funny is you remember the first movie,
Hmm.
the big move that like crushed the other team, the flying V.
Yeah.
Like they did the flying V and they just destroyed it. And it's like, oh yeah, we can use this. And then they tried it at the next level, get wiped out immediately.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the point right there. So if you're using AI, kind of go back to tie it back to you're already behind. No, you're already developing these good habits and everything. And if you just keep working on the good habits, not using AI, then once you develop the really big skills and everything, then you can start using AI, and that's just you're going to be better at using AI, if
Yes,
that makes sense and
it
everything.
does. It does.
So
So nobody's behind.
yeah, no, nobody's behind, and don't rush into it either.
Yeah.
tried a few things. I thought, this will do that, this will do this, and everything, but it really doesn't. And, just find some tools and just kind of use it your way, essentially. And that goes back to the magic prompt um, point that we had right there. So, yeah, either way, final thoughts, Adam. What do you think? Are a lot of good advice out there, a lot of bad advice?
I think there's a lot of bad advice out there that's based off of hype and people trying to sell stuff.
Hmm.
But I do think there's some good advice. I've had a lot of luck with, going into Reddit and just seeing what people are saying to help each other out sometimes with AI tools.
Hmm.
There's good stuff in there. And
Yeah,
they're not
definitely.
saying any of this stuff like, oh, that you need to get an AI detector to see if it's there. No, it's just giving some common sense. So I
Yeah,
think we did a good
exactly.
job scratching the surface with some of the stuff that's out there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the main point is like you're hearing all this myths about AI and the boogeyman kind of theories out there, but really take a look at it because it's not quite what you think it is.
I
So
like it.
that'd be my closing thought. But either way, I think that about wraps it up for us this evening. I'd like to give everybody a big thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to us. My name is Brian,
And I'm Adam.
and you have been listening to the Layman's AI, and we will see you next time.